She was born different, and someone knows why. After the war, the world does not become peaceful in one day. It simply stops screaming so loudly. And in this new silence, Eliza had to learn how to live again, without Marcus, with the child he saved, Emily. A whole year had passed. Sometimes it felt like it had gone too quickly. Other times, it felt like every single day lasted forever. They lived in a small village far away from the places where people still remembered the war. It was a quiet place, hidden between forests and fields. Their house was simple, a small wooden home with an old fireplace that made strange sounds at night, almost like it was alive. The walls were not perfect, the floors were old, but it was safe, and after everything Eliza had survived, safety was more valuable than anything. Emily was already walking, not confidently, not perfectly, but she was doing it by herself. She was a quiet child. She did not cry often. She did not demand attention. She could sit for a long time, simply watching the world around her. Sometimes Eliza found her daughter staring at the corner of the room, not moving, not blinking, just watching. At first, Eliza smiled. She told herself it was normal. Children saw things adults did not notice, but after some time she was no longer sure. There was something different about Emily, something she could not explain. The first strange moment happened one morning. Eliza was making tea while Emily sat on the floor and played with a small wooden spoon. It was a normal morning. The sun was coming through the window. The house was warm. Everything was peaceful. Then suddenly the spoon moved, slowly, across the floor. Not because of wind, not because of anyone touching it. It simply moved. Eliza froze. Her hand stopped above the cup. "Emily," she whispered. The little girl looked at the spoon and smiled. That evening, Eliza tried to convince herself it was nothing. The floor is not even. The spoon was already moving. It was just a coincidence. She repeated these words again and again, but deep inside, she felt something she remembered from the war. That feeling when your eyes refuse to believe what they see, but your heart already knows the truth. A few days later, something else happened. Emily was standing outside near the chicken coop. One of the chickens suddenly became frightened and ran away. It moved quickly toward the road. Eliza turned her head. Then Emily looked at the chicken. Just looked, and the animal stopped, completely, as if something invisible had gently held it in place. For a moment, everything became still. Then the chicken calmly turned around and walked back. Eliza watched in silence. A cold feeling moved through her. For the first time, she was truly afraid. That night, she sat near the window with a cup of tea in her hands. The house was quiet. Emily was sleeping peacefully, and Eliza thought about Marcus. "You said she should not have been born here." Her voice broke. "What did you mean?" She looked at her daughter. "What were you trying to protect her from?" But there was no answer, only silence. The people in the village were simple. They were kind. They did not ask too many questions. Most of them only saw Emily as a quiet, unusual child. "Your daughter is very calm," they would say. "She is growing well." But one older woman once looked at Emily for a long time and said, "There is something different about her eyes." Eliza immediately became tense. All children look different. The woman slowly shook her head. Not all children make the air around them change. Those words stayed with Eliza. She could not forget them. The strongest sign came at the market. It was a busy afternoon. People were walking everywhere. There were voices, laughter, and the sounds of everyday life. Eliza held Emily's hand while they walked between the small stands. Suddenly, someone shouted. A man slipped and dropped a wooden box. Fruits flew into the air. People moved quickly. Everyone reacted at the same moment. But Emily just looked, and for a brief second, everything seemed to slow down. The box stopped in the air, only for a moment, only long enough for Eliza to see it. Then it gently moved down and landed on the ground. Almost perfectly, almost carefully. The crowd continued moving. Nobody understood what happened. Nobody except Eliza. That night, she locked the door. Then she checked it again. 2 locks. She held Emily in her arms and whispered, "You are just a child. Just a little girl." But her voice was shaking. A few days later, someone came to their house, an old woman. She looked calm, too calm. She did not knock. She simply stood outside the door. When Eliza opened it, the woman said, "I know you are afraid." Eliza became still. "You are mistaken." The woman looked past her, at Emily. Then she quietly said, "She is starting to remember." Eliza felt her heart stop. Remember what? The woman looked directly into her eyes. Not a life. Herself. The words felt impossible. Eliza shook her head. "No, that cannot be true." The woman stepped closer. "You do not understand. Some children do not begin life from zero. Some children continue something that started before them." Eliza became pale. Then she whispered one name. "Marcus." The old woman nodded. He knew. He saved her not only from the war. He saved her from the people who wanted to take her back. Back to where she came from. Before Eliza could ask another question, Emily woke up. The little girl opened her eyes and looked directly at the old woman. Not like a baby, not like a child seeing a stranger, like someone who already understood. The woman became silent. For the first time, fear appeared in her eyes. "She already recognizes things," she whispered. Eliza closed the door, hard. Her hands were trembling. She pulled Emily close. "I will not let them take you. I don't care who they are. I will protect you." Emily rested her head on her mother's shoulder, and slowly everything became calm again. That night, the house was quiet. The fire was slowly burning. The wind moved outside. Eliza sat beside Emily's bed. Her daughter was sleeping peacefully. For the first time in a long time, everything felt normal, safe, almost happy. But then something changed. The air above the little bed began to move. Slowly, gently. There was no wind, no open window, no reason. Eliza looked up, and deep inside, she understood one thing. Emily was not just a child. She was the continuation of something that had started long before her birth.